The elevator doors slid open on the 42nd floor of Whitmore Industries, and Marcus Whitmore froze. There, on her hands and knees scrubbing the marble floor of his executive suite, was a woman wearing a faded cleaning uniform. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled back in a simple bun, and her weathered hands moved methodically across the tiles. But Marcus would recognize those hands anywhere. They were the same hands that had worked 3 jobs to put him through college. The same hands that had wiped his tears when his father left. The same hands that had sacrificed everything so he could become the successful CEO he was today. "Mama?" The word came out as barely a whisper. The woman looked up, her dark eyes meeting his. For a split second, something flickered across her face, but then she simply smiled that warm, familiar smile and said, "Good morning, sir. Just finishing up here." Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. His mother, Dorothy Whitmore, was pretending not to know him. His own mother was on her knees in his building, acting like a stranger. His mind raced with questions. Why was she here? Why was she working as a cleaner when he sent her money every month? And most importantly, why was she pretending they'd never met? Before he could say another word, his assistant Jennifer appeared behind him. "Mr. Whitmore, your 9 o'clock is waiting in the conference room. The board members are getting impatient." Marcus couldn't move. He stood there staring at his mother, who had gone back to scrubbing the floor as if nothing had happened. As if her son wasn't standing right in front of her. As if 28 years of love and sacrifice had simply vanished. "Mr. Whitmore?" Jennifer's voice was more urgent now. He finally tore his gaze away and walked toward his office, his legs moving on autopilot. But as he passed his mother, she whispered something so quietly. Marcus sat behind his massive oak desk, but he couldn't focus on the financial reports spread before him. His hands trembled slightly as he picked up his phone and pulled up his mother's contact. He'd spoken to her just 3 days ago. She'd told him she was fine, enjoying retirement in their old neighborhood in Atlanta, spending time at church and with her book club friends. She'd laughed when he offered to send extra money. "Baby, I have everything I need," she'd said. But that woman scrubbing floors wasn't living comfortably in retirement. That woman was working one of the hardest jobs in the building, and she was doing it in secret. Marcus pressed the intercom button. "Jennifer, I need the employee files for all custodial staff hired in the last 6 months." "Right away, Mr. Whitmore." While he waited, Marcus thought back to 6 months ago. That was when things had started feeling off at Whitmore Industries. Small things at first. A missing contract here, a misplaced file there. Then bigger issues. The company had lost 3 major clients under mysterious circumstances. Confidential bid information had somehow reached their competitors. The board had been pressuring him, questioning his leadership, suggesting that maybe he was too young, too inexperienced to run a company this size. Marcus had founded Whitmore Industries 5 years ago with nothing but a business degree, a revolutionary software idea, and the determination his mother had instilled in him. He'd grown it from a startup in his tiny apartment to a multi-million-dollar corporation. But lately, he'd felt like he was losing control, like someone was sabotaging him from the inside. Jennifer knocked and entered with a tablet. "Here are the files you requested, sir." Marcus scrolled through them quickly, and there it was. Dorothy Williams. His mother's maiden name. Hired 4 months ago as a night shift cleaner, but her schedule had recently changed to days. The reference letters looked legitimate, but Marcus knew they had to be fabricated. Jennifer, who approved this hire? "Let me check." She tapped on the tablet. That would be Richard Chun, the facilities manager. Richard Chun. The name made Marcus's stomach turn. Richard was one of the old guard, hired by the investors before Marcus had full control of his own company. Marcus had never trusted him, but he'd had no concrete reason to let him go. "Schedule a meeting with Richard. Today. Tell him it's urgent." As Jennifer left, Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He opened it and felt ice run through his veins. It was a photo of his mother from that morning, scrubbing the floor outside his office. Below it, a message. "Some secrets are worth keeping quiet. $500,000 wired to account 4782 to 9163 by midnight, or everyone learns the truth about Marcus waited until the board members left before he moved. His mind was racing, but years of watching his mother handle impossible situations had taught him one thing: stay calm and think strategically. He grabbed his suit jacket and headed toward the elevator, but instead of going down to the parking garage, he pressed the button for the basement level where the custodial offices were located. The fluorescent lights flickered in the narrow hallway as Marcus made his way past storage rooms and maintenance closets. He'd only been down here once before, during the building's initial walkthrough. Now, as CEO, he realized how disconnected he'd become from the people who kept his company running every day. He found his mother in the break room, sitting alone at a small table with a cup of coffee. When she saw him, she didn't look surprised. She simply gestured to the chair across from her. "Took you long enough," Dorothy said quietly, glancing at the security camera in the corner. It had a piece of tape over the lens. "We have maybe 10 minutes before someone notices that camera's blocked." "Mama, what's going on? Why are you here? And what did you mean they're watching me?" Dorothy reached into her uniform pocket and pulled out a small envelope. Inside were photographs. Marcus's hands shook as he looked through them. They showed Richard Chin meeting with Gerald Hastings at a restaurant. Another showed Jennifer, his trusted assistant, handing Chin a folder outside the building late at night. The final photo made Marcus's blood run cold. It was a bank statement showing regular transfers from Whitmore Industries accounts to an offshore account, and someone had forged his signature on the authorization forms. "I got suspicious 2 months ago," Dorothy explained, her voice low. "You kept telling me everything was fine, but a mother knows. You sounded stressed, worried. Then I saw an article about your company losing clients, and I knew something was wrong. So I came to see for myself. You could have just visited me, Mama. You didn't have to. Baby, listen. I tried to visit you 3 months ago. Remember? But Jennifer told me you were too busy, that I should call first. Then when I tried calling your office line, she said you'd given instructions not to be disturbed by family during work hours." Marcus felt sick. "I never said that. I would never say that." "I know. That's when I knew someone close to you was involved. So I did what I had to do. I applied for a cleaning job under my maiden name. Nobody looks at the cleaning staff, Marcus. We're invisible. People have whole conversations right in front of us like we're not even there." "What did you find out?" Dorothy leaned closer. "Richard Chun is working with 3 of your board members, including Gerald Hastings. They want to force you out and take control of the company. Your software technology is worth millions, but they can't access it while you're CEO. Jennifer's been feeding them information, changing your schedules, making sure you miss important meetings. They've been embezzling money and making it look like you're responsible." Marcus clenched his fists. "Why would Jennifer do this? I trusted her. I gave her opportunities. Richard is her uncle. He got her the job. She's been reporting to him from day one." The pieces were falling into place, but Marcus still felt overwhelmed. The blackmail message. "They're demanding $500,000 by midnight." Dorothy nodded. "They want you to either pay, which makes you look guilty, or refuse, which means they release fake evidence tomorrow before the board vote. Either way, you lose. So, what do we do?" His mother's eyes hardened with a determination Marcus had seen countless times growing up. It was the same look she'd had when the landlord tried to evict them, when his school said they couldn't afford his books, when the world said a single black mother from the South Side couldn't raise a son who'd amount to anything.
"We fight back," she said.
"But we have to be smart. I've been documenting everything, recording conversations. I have evidence, but we need more. Tonight, Richard is meeting with Gerald at Chen's office to finalize their plan. I overheard them talking about it this morning." "How do we get proof of that meeting?" Dorothy smiled, a glint of mischief in her eyes. "Honey, who do you think cleans the executive offices after hours? I have keys to every room in this building." Marcus felt a surge of hope for the first time all day, but then reality hit him. "Mama, this is dangerous. If they catch you, I didn't raise you to back down from a fight, and I'm not about to start now. Besides, they still don't know who I am. To them, I'm just Dorothy Williams, a 62-year-old cleaning lady who's too old to cause trouble." Before Marcus could respond, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Marcus stepped into the elevator, his face a mask of calm, even though his heart was pounding. Richard Chen's smile didn't reach his eyes as the doors slid closed, trapping them both in the small space. "Just doing a walkthrough," Marcus said evenly. "Getting reacquainted with all aspects of the company. As CEO, I should know every floor, every department." "Admirable," Richard said, but his tone suggested otherwise. "Though I'm surprised you have time for that, given tomorrow's board meeting. I hear it's going to be quite contentious." Marcus met his gaze directly. "I'm not worried. The truth has a way of coming out." "Does it?" Richard's smile widened. "In my experience, Mr. Whitmore, the truth is whatever the people with power say it is." The elevator dinged, and Richard exited on the 35th floor, leaving Marcus alone with his racing thoughts. As soon as he reached his office, Marcus locked the door and pulled out the envelope his mother had given him. He spread the photographs across his desk and started making copies with his phone, uploading them to a secure cloud account that only he could access. Then he did something risky. He called his lawyer, David Patterson, a man he'd known since law school and one of the few people he trusted completely. "David, I need you to listen carefully. Don't ask questions yet, just listen." For the next 10 minutes, Marcus explained everything. When he finished, there was a long silence on the other end. "Marcus, this is serious. We're talking about conspiracy, embezzlement, corporate espionage. But if what your mother found is true, we can bury these people. That's the problem. I need more evidence, concrete proof of tonight's meeting. But they've threatened my mother. Then we get her out.
Right now.
We can hire private security." "She won't leave," Marcus said, because he knew his mother. "She'll insist on finishing what she started. And honestly, she's right. She's in the best position to get the evidence we need." David was quiet for a moment. "Okay. Then we protect her. I have a contact, former FBI, who specializes in corporate investigations. He can wire her up, monitor the situation remotely. But Marcus, if anything goes wrong..." "I know. Just set it up. And David, be careful who you talk to. I don't know how deep this goes." After hanging up, Marcus forced himself to attend his afternoon meetings, to act as if everything was normal. But every minute felt like an hour. He kept thinking about that text message, about the threat against his mother. Finally, at 6 o'clock, David called back. "It's arranged. My contact, James Morrison, will meet your mother at 7:30 in the parking garage, level B3. He'll set her up with a recording device and a panic button. I'll be monitoring everything from a secure location with him." "Thank you, David." "Marcus, one more thing. I did some digging into Gerald Hastings. He's in serious financial trouble. His investment firm is on the verge of collapse. If he can take control of Whitmore Industries and sell your software patents, he'll make enough to save himself." Everything made sense now. This wasn't just about pushing out a young CEO. This was about desperate men making a last grab for survival, and they didn't care who they destroyed in the process. At 7:15, Marcus went down to the parking garage. He found his mother waiting by her old Honda, still wearing her cleaning uniform. When she saw him, she pulled him into a tight hug. "You doing okay, baby? I should be asking you that. Mama, you don't have to do this." "Yes, I do. Because this isn't just about your company, Marcus. It's about what's right. Those men think they can cheat and steal and lie their way to the top. They think they can push people around because of power and money. But we both know that's not how the world should work." A dark sedan pulled up, and James Morrison stepped out. He was a tall black man in his 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. Within minutes, he had Dorothy fitted with a nearly invisible recording device and had explained how the panic button worked. "Mrs. Whitmore, I'll be listening to everything. If at any point you feel unsafe, you press this button, and I'll have police there in under 2 minutes. Understand?" Dorothy nodded, her expression determined. As she walked back toward the building, Marcus called out, "Mama?" She turned, and he saw the same woman who had raised him, who had sacrificed everything, who had never given up on him even when the world said she should. "Be careful." She smiled. "Always am." Marcus watched her disappear into the building, then got into the sedan with David and James. They drove to a van parked across the street with monitoring equipment inside. At 8:45, Dorothy's voice came through the speakers, clear and steady. "I'm entering Chen's office now. I can hear voices inside." Through the recording device, they heard her knocking, then Richard Chen's irritated voice. "What is it?"
"Sorry, sir.
"Just here to empty the trash and clean. Make it quick." As Dorothy went about her work, the conversation in the office continued. Gerald Hastings was there, along with two other board members Marcus recognized, Thomas Wakefield and Patricia Morrison. "Tomorrow morning, we present the evidence," Gerald was saying. "Marcus will have no choice but to resign. Once he's gone, we install Thomas as interim CEO, and within a month, we'll have control of the patents." "What about the investigation?" Patricia asked. "If he lawyers up, he won't have time," Richard interrupted. "By the time he figures out what's happening, we'll have already sold the patents to Tech Giant Corporation. I have a buyer lined up, ready to transfer $300 million the moment we have control." Marcus felt sick. $300 million. His life's work, reduced to a transaction. Then Gerald said something that made everyone in the van go silent. "And if Marcus doesn't cooperate, we have leverage. That cleaning woman, Dorothy Williams. Chen's background check revealed she's actually his mother. If Marcus fights us, we'll make sure she faces charges for corporate espionage, identity fraud. She'll spend the rest of her retirement in prison." In the van, Marcus lunged forward, but David grabbed his arm.
"Wait."
"Let her finish." Dorothy's voice came through, still calm, still professional. "All done, sir. Have a good evening." But as she reached the door, Marcus was out of the van before anyone could stop him, running toward the building with his heart in his throat, knowing he might be too late, knowing that his mother had just put herself in terrible danger to save him, and knowing that whatever happened in the next few minutes would change both their lives forever. Marcus burst through the lobby doors and sprinted toward the elevators, but they were too slow. He hit the stairwell instead, taking the steps 3 at a time, his lungs burning as he climbed 35 floors. Behind him, he could hear security guards shouting, but he didn't stop. All he could think about was his mother's voice, the fear he'd heard, the sound of that struggle. When he reached the 35th floor, he ran down the hallway toward Richard Chen's office. The door was partially open, and inside, he could hear angry voices. Marcus threw the door open and froze. His mother stood in the center of the room, her arm gripped tightly by Thomas Wakefield. Richard Chen was reaching for something on his desk, possibly a phone. Gerald Hastings stood by the window, his face red with fury. But what stopped Marcus cold was the gun in Patricia Morrison's hand, pointed directly at his mother. "Let her go," Marcus said, his voice deadly calm. "Right now." "Marcus, how nice of you to join us," Gerald said with a cruel smile. "We were just having a conversation with your mother about the consequences of corporate espionage." "The police are on their way," Marcus said. "It's over. We have everything recorded. Your conspiracy, the embezzlement, the threats. All of it." Richard laughed bitterly. "You think anyone will believe a disgraced CEO and his criminal mother? By morning, you'll both be arrested, and we'll be heroes who uncovered fraud in the company." "That's where you're wrong," a new voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned to see James Morrison enter, followed by 4 police officers and David Patterson. Behind them were 2 more people Marcus didn't expect, Jennifer and another board member, Dr. Sarah Chun, Richard's sister. Jennifer stepped forward, her eyes red from crying. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Whitmore. When my uncle asked me to help him, he told me you were the one doing something illegal, that we were protecting the company. But tonight, I overheard them planning to frame you and hurt your mother. I couldn't let that happen. I called Dr. Chen, and we went to the police." Dr. Sarah Chen looked at her brother with disgust. "Richard, I tried to warn you. Greed destroys everything it touches." The lead police officer stepped forward. "Patricia Morrison, Richard Chen, Gerald Hastings, Thomas Wakefield, you're all under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, embezzlement, extortion, and assault." Patricia slowly lowered the gun as officers moved in. Thomas released Dorothy's arm, and she stumbled forward. Marcus caught her, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I'm okay, baby," she whispered. "I'm okay." As the officers led the conspirators away in handcuffs, Marcus held his mother, both of them shaking with relief and exhaustion. David approached with a gentle smile. "It's over, Marcus. We have everything we need. The recordings, the photographs, Jennifer's testimony. Your name will be cleared." The next morning, Marcus stood before the full board of directors. The room was packed with people who had doubted him, questioned him, been ready to throw him out. But now they sat in silence as David presented the evidence of the conspiracy against him. When it was over, Dr. Sarah Chin stood up. "Mr. Whitmore, on behalf of the board, I want to apologize. We failed you. We allowed greed and politics to blind us to the truth. If it hadn't been for your mother's courage and your integrity, this company would have been destroyed from within." One by one, the board members stood and applauded. Marcus felt tears prick his eyes, but he kept his composure. "Thank you," he said when the applause died down. "But I didn't save this company alone. There's someone I want you all to meet properly." He gestured to the back of the room, where Dorothy stood still wearing her cleaning uniform. She looked uncomfortable with all the attention, but Marcus walked over and took her hand, leading her to the front. "This is Dorothy Whitmore, my mother. Some of you may have seen her cleaning these offices over the past few months. She's mopped your floors, emptied your trash cans, and worked in the shadows while you conducted your business. But what she really did was save all of us. She reminded me that true integrity isn't about titles or power. It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous." Marcus turned to face his mother, his voice thick with emotion. "Mama, you worked 3 jobs to put me through school. You sacrificed everything so I could have opportunities you never had. You taught me that honest work is never beneath anyone, and that character is built in how we treat people when no one's watching. I thought I was honoring you by becoming successful, but you showed me that success without integrity means nothing." Dorothy's eyes filled with tears as she cupped her son's face. "You've always made me proud, Marcus. Not because you became a CEO, but because you never forgot where you came from. You never forgot the people who hold up this world with their hard work and honest labor." The room erupted in applause again, and this time Marcus let his tears fall freely. 3 months later, Whitmore Industries held a company-wide celebration. The conspiracy had been fully exposed, with all 4 conspirators facing serious prison time. Jennifer had been given a second chance after her cooperation with authorities and was working hard to regain Marcus's trust. The company had not only recovered but was thriving with new contracts and partnerships. But the biggest change came in how Marcus ran his company. He established a new employee recognition program that started with the custodial staff. He implemented an open-door policy where any employee, regardless of position, could bring concerns directly to him. And he created a scholarship, and looking out at all those faces, Marcus knew she was right. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever witnessed someone being underestimated because of their job or position? Have you seen good triumph over greed in your own life? Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. What would you have done if you were in Marcus's position? Would you have trusted your mother's plan, or would you have tried to handle it differently? If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded that integrity and honesty still matter in this world. Sometimes the heroes in our lives are the ones we see every day, but don't always notice. Let's change that together. Thank you for watching, and remember, true success isn't measured by the height of your office, but by the depth of your character. Until next time, keep doing good, keep hoping, and keep being honest. Your story matters.